pages. Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages. Leviticus, laws to pause, find phrases. Turning them corners, your spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalms singing sweet, unbroken lines. Hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the Navi blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Rain and bless slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extend. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extend. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well, friend. Hope you are doing well today. I want to get a poll started here. Did I get a timer on it? I'm not sure. How long did I put? Doesn't tell me, but it's got a good timer. I don't know if it's long enough. This is the problem with using dark mode on some things, like the boxes for filling in the questions don't show up. So I just randomly was able to figure out, click here, there's probably a spot, but it didn't give me, hey, here's the box to check for how long you want the timer to be. So, like, dark mode is beneficial in some ways, but it's frustrating in others. So, I don't know if anyone else has that problem with dark mode. I seem to. Galaxy, it's so good to see a friend. Thank you for the lurk. So, just getting started here. Get my feet warmed up. There we go. Put that on. Sorry, I'm just all of a sudden noticing maybe my... Nope. It's still there. My music on the fish pond was below what I could hear. So it must be just a quiet song. I thought, oh no! But that seems to be... I got it figured out, so it's rolling 24/7 now on the fish cam. Oh, there we go. Now it's getting louder. Okay, so we just go ahead and share that. Fish. Yeah, go check out the fish pond. Got snow coming today. Not too much. More later. I got to fix my snow blower. I was going to try to move the camera in the pond on the fish. I am liking the darkness in the room that makes the fish tanks glow a bit more. And the hats. I think that's fun. I do think it looked better, though, when I just had the hats coming across right behind me this way instead of, you know, long room. But then you can see the other fish tank, or one of the other fish tanks back there. There are four. There are 4 fish tanks in the room. So those that were not here. Last Thursday, we were introducing the ideas of different spiritual disciplines. So there are 13, 14, depending upon the sources that believers have embraced for generations. So OBS this morning is okay. OBS this morning isn't doing anything funny. Thanks for asking, though. Yeah, yesterday it was doing a couple of funny things with my screen of what I could see and change. It looks pretty good today. So, not sure what was happening there. Did you have problems with yours too, Papstio? Yeah, for you yesterday it wasn't doing well. Yeah, it started out fine, then it had like some changes it made to it that it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna not be able to change anything. So yours had problems. That's never fun. So I like the way that this is restore.church, but I believe this is from Dallas Willard. I like the way this one is set up. There are 7 disciplines of abstinence, letting go of something or putting it off. So, ceasing to do something. So, solitude is spending time alone. Fasting is abstaining from food. Denial, just like it says, giving up something. So sometimes when people talk about fasting for Lent and they're giving up something that's not food, that would just be denial. You're denying yourself something. But that can be something different than that as well. Sacrifice, something that costs you something. Secrecy, doing things that nobody else knows about. Simplicity, how you are living. And silence, talking less and listening more. So those are the 7 of you're going to cease from doing something or resist from doing something. And then the 7 disciplines of activity. You're going to engage in something. So studying the Bible, worship, prayer, fellowship, submission. That's an interesting one that they call that an active one, but it really is. You have to be active in it. Service and witnessing. So See, did anyone answer the poll at all? Nobody answered the poll. Might need to do the poll again. Or maybe I need to define solitude. Nobody knew what it was, so they didn't answer yes on it. So, solitude, simply spending time alone with God. In incredible busy times, we need to prioritize time alone with the audience of one. It's indispensable to our spiritual growth. Perhaps we must let go of other busyness. Donut Christian, welcome in, dude. Good to see you, friend. Let me see. View results. And I already think I know, but because I don't think I saw any answers there. Nope. Nobody answered. So, that's a shame. I wish there was a way to just repeat the poll instead of new poll. Okay. Well, I tried. You don't get the practice of solitude. You don't get to practice solitude enough, but you practice fasting all the time. Oh, well, we'll get talking about fasting here. One of these weeks we'll talk about fasting. So I'll make sure you're here, Papsio, when we do. Donut Christian, I appreciate when I catch your streams. They're super amazing and fun. Thank you, Donut Christian. I appreciate that. So those coming in, we're using this list of 14 spiritual disciplines and habits of faith. Calling it Transform Thursday. How to, things to help you transform your faith and your life. So, solitude has always been a difficult time for me. I've never been really good, throughout my life with times of solitude. But I want to go look at some passages where Jesus spent time in solitude and look at what's going on in those. And we can talk about why is solitude difficult. And often, I think of silence and solitude going together. They don't have to, but there'll be some overlap between silence and solitude. When we get to silence, I've done silent retreats before, so then you're not doing solitude. You're doing silence together with other people and intentionally being silent, which is interesting. Is it Poex? I'm trying to remember how to say your name. Poex? Morning. The Lord has blessed us with another day. I love that attitude. I love I'm blessed. What am I grateful for today? I am grateful that I am indoors and I am warm and I had a decent night's sleep. I say decent because I woke up a couple of times, but was able to get back to sleep, which is always good. Yep, Poex. All right, yay. I always get excited when I remember a name right. It's snowing outside. I'm also grateful that I was able to get a belt for my snowblower so I can get it fixed so that if I have to shovel, I can use a snowblower instead of a shovel. So, yeah. So several things to be grateful for today. Okay, so I just looked up the word solitude because I know that Jesus spends time in solitude. I wish I knew if there was an example in the Old Testament specifically about being in solitude from other people. The best example maybe is Moses going up on Mount Sinai and he spends 40 days alone. So we can look at that too if we have time today. If others have thoughts on people spending time in solitude, you could, on some ways, think about Jacob. A couple of occasions, maybe you could say he is spending time in solitude, but really he's spending time running from his brother or his uncle, and he ends up spending time in solitude in a solitary place, away from everyone else, and has encounters with God. So we could use that as an example of it, but I don't know that that's what Jacob was setting out to do. It just so happens that that's what does happen. Oh, I had this question too. David in the caves. Well, David's with his men though, Donut Christian. David at least is hiding with one of his soldiers in there, but that's a good idea to think about. What was the one I was just thinking of? Oh, I had another thought in mind of oh, it'll come back to me, I guess. Oh, and I was going to say not Daniel when he's praying, because yes, he is praying alone, but he's praying with his window open. And he's praying towards Jerusalem, and he's praying out loud. So that one not quite the same. Even the time he was gonna meet up with Jonathan. Oh, there you go, Electropod. When he goes alone to meet up with Jonathan, that would lead towards more. But some of the idea of solitude is getting away from people, being away from people. So if you're an introvert, just some guy. Okay, I think that's 3 years. Boom. Boom. 3 years of subs. So, by the way, I've got to figure out what I'm doing next Friday, because next Friday is my affiliate anniversary. So the affiliate anniversary is on February 14th. I love that. It's like Valentine's Day. It's love for everybody. So thank you, Just Some Guy. With the 3 years, all 36 months, I have been an affiliate. You have been a sub. Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. Might not even be here. Might have just had an automatic boom. There it is. But if you're here, thank you. Again, I don't know what I'm doing next Friday. I'll probably have that info out on Monday to let everyone know. Affiliate anniversary on Friday. So now you're here, and you're welcome. Thank you, friend. So I don't know what I'm doing next Friday, but it's affiliate anniversary. I'll be doing something. So, okay. So let's go look at these passages. So Matthew 14. 13. We do this. In context, in a new tab. There we go. Okay, John's disciples came and took his body, and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowd followed him on foot from the town. When Jesus landed and saw the large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed the sick. Hey, Lucis, welcome in. So look at what happened. Look at this occasion. So this is a good one to think about. An event of great calamity has happened. John has been dead. John has been buried. Jesus hears about it, and what does Jesus need to do? He needs to withdraw from people. He needs to get away from people. He needs to catch him. Supersonic, welcome in, friend. He needs to get away from all the activities of life. He hears what happens. He withdraws privately in a boat to a solitary place. So he's going across the Sea of Galilee, I believe. Going to go to the other side where there are not people, but the crowd hears about it. They follow along the lake on the other side. So I live by Lake Michigan. Nobody's following along on foot to the other side of Lake Michigan if you're going by foot. But you could walk around the Sea of Galilee. People would travel around the Sea of Galilee. So it's just easier to go by boat, and he has access by boat. He's withdrawing to the solitary place. He wants to withdraw from people because there is something that he is grieving over. So, one of those times that we might need to go into solitude, it might be when we are grieving something. So, I could think of Job sitting silently until his friends show up, and then they sit silently. We can go look at that one in silent. But to begin with, Job is sitting in solitude. He is by himself until his friends show up. He's sitting there just in grieving and in mourning for what's happening. So sometimes we need to withdraw to deal with or to spend time by ourselves. So there's one occasion. Okay. Mark 1:35. Okay. And Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons. But he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him. Okay, so we have this, and I believe we have another passage that says, as was his custom. So Jesus does this on the daily, or it seems to be, because it's a pattern, or at least I would say on a weekly basis on some level. Jesus is getting up very early in the morning while it is still dark, and he left the house to go to a solitary place where he prayed. So we'll leave the prayer part aside for a minute, but the removing yourself from the house, why? Well, one level is prayer is still out loud. There's not necessarily the idea of silent prayer in Scripture, okay? The power of words need to be spoken. Good morning, Subdue. So he's going to be speaking out loud when he prays. So if he's in the house early in the morning and he's praying, he could still be whispering, but it still would be out loud. You might disrupt or wake up people. Also, he's withdrawing from them to be alone. Now, how far is he withdrawing? Where is he withdrawing to? It doesn't tell us, but he is going somewhere where there are not people around, and he does this as a custom early in the morning while it's still dark. So one of the things, if you're doing this while it's dark, is it lends itself to being in a solitary place a lot easier. Nobody finding you, nobody coming upon you, nobody interrupting you. So that's one of the reasons why early in the morning is a good time for solitude, is that no one else is going to interrupt you. Now, there's other ways that you can have solitude. I tend to spend my solitude on my bicycle. I know a lot of people like to ride with other people, and I do too. It's fun to ride with other people, but I also like just riding my bicycle alone. Then there is no one else around. I am just, riding around seeing creation, and I'm alone. The other place that I spend time in solitude, not this time of year, by the way, is sitting in front of my pond. So I like to, I shouldn't say in front of it, sitting next to my pond. I've got a bench that sits right next to the waterfalls. I sit on it. I listen to the water. I just sit there. I'm not usually watching the fish so much because it's up above and it's, not the easiest. If I don't watch the fish, I sit down below. But I spend time just in solitude when I go into creation. That's how I do it. And it's kind of the same idea here. Now, Jesus is usually doing that early in the morning. I'm not riding my bike or sitting by the fish pond early in the morning. I'm more likely on my bike in the middle of the afternoon and the pond either the middle afternoon or evening towards the sunset. That's when I'm going to be doing that. But this is what Jesus' pattern is very early in the morning withdrawing. So he had busyness of life, and tragedy was the first example that he's withdrawing from. Now we have perhaps busyness of life, and before getting started for the day, he takes the time to have solitude. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, let's read this one in full context. Mark 6. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in the boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. Okay, so this one is withdrawing from the busyness and getting rest, having quietness and having rest. Okay, this doesn't turn out to work. Also, this solitude is not singular, only Jesus or only one person. So solitude can be separating from all of the things that are going on around you. Solitude is not always alone. Here, the group is going into a place of solitude together. So when I was just on vacation, there was a lot of solitude from the standpoint of my wife and I were alone a lot of the time with no one else around. And we spent time together, away from everyone else. We also spent time together with her parents. So the four of us would spend time alone together without other people around, without the other family, without other people. So you can do solitude with groups of people, not just alone. That might be an interesting thought for you, that you can do solitude without having, or with other people. You can do solitude together. But here it is, the purpose is rest. Peace and quiet and rest. That's the thing, to cease from doing work, I think, is part of the plan there. Any questions as we're going along, chime in, or additional thoughts. Or we're going to look at Jesus first. If you've got other places where you think someone was practicing solitude in Scripture, we can look at that too. Okay, Luke looks like it's saying the same one. At daybreak, Jesus went out to a solitary place. I believe Luke says, in some version says, as was his custom. Another one, Luke, okay. Let me go into full context here, Luke 8. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had commanded the impure spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains and had been driven by demons into a solitary place. Oh, okay. So this is the demonic man who was in the solitary place, not Jesus. Okay. Okay. Let's look at Mount Sinai. I don't know where that is. I'm going to have to look it up here. Let's go 40 days. That should get me somewhere close to Moses. Except it's there we go. I need Exodus. Okay. There we go. In context. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud, and he went up on the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, we need a little bit more, I think, here. Where is it? Oh, okay. No, that's the end of the chapter. So before that, the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of the law, with the law and commandments I have written for their instructions. Wait for us until we come back. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them." When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. Ooh, I forgot about that. Yeah, so the cloud comes and covers the mountain, and reestablishing creation, if you will. The days of creation, and on the Sabbath day when God rests, God invites Moses up onto Mount Sinai, and the people are looking at like, man, that's a consuming fire. Moses is going to die. Why is he going up there? But he goes up and he stays on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. See if there's anything in the next chapter there. Oh, no, we've got what's happening on the sanctuary or in the conversation. So, I don't know about you, but 40 days and 40 nights alone sounds very daunting to me. Sounds very daunting to spend 40 days and 40 nights alone. I know people will go and actually many cultures will have a I don't want to say vision quest, that's not the right word, a coming of age kind of event where you need to go out in solitude alone on some kind of event, depending upon culture. Some might be a hunting event, others are a survival event, and you go out into the wilderness and you need to be isolated and alone for a period of time before coming back into the community. And that is a transition stage in your life. I've always been fascinated by that, but I've never really had that. I've never gone on a solo camping or solo hiking event. Solo bike ride, that's about it. Is that kind of like your Sunday morning preparation? Oh, on some ways, that's a great comparison, Poex. Because I would often rise, and I'm not currently serving at a church, so I'm not in this. And also when I'm doing transition, it hasn't worked out that way the same because I'm usually driving further to get there. But I did for quite a long time have the pattern and the habit of rising early, going to the church, going in the sanctuary, and, going over my sermon long before anyone would get there. Then, depending upon how close I lived to the church, I would return home. Sometimes I would do it so early in the morning, and I would return home. I would even take a little nap and then get up and get prepared to church and go to church. So, yeah, it can be a time that you're doing that. I love that thought. Hadn't thought about that in a while, of the getting up early before everyone else is around, doing all those things. And part of mine was being in the church long before anybody else was in there, spending time going through that with no chance of interruptions before anybody else was up. Then about the time that people would start showing up for the early things they had to do, I would leave so I could let them do what they needed to do without being interrupted. And then I would return before the service. So, yeah, Poex, I think that's a good example. Now, that might not be your case. Like, you can just rise up early on Sunday. But here, Moses, like the 40 days, 40 nights thing, that's the thing that fascinates me. 40 days of isolation, 40 days of solitude, 40 days of being alone with God. I don't know what that's like. Never done that. I've never set out to do that. I don't know in this day and age how easy that would be to do. Now, before COVID, I was starting to talk about and look at what would be called a sabbatical. So a sabbatical is taking a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it might be, off from your position as a pastor and going and doing some kind of study, retreat, and or time of refreshment. It can be any and or all of those, depending on the length of it. And so I was looking at doing a course in Israel, going over there, taking a course, taking time of study, taking time alone. And my wife wasn't going to be coming with me until the end, and then we could do some vacation on the end of it. So I was looking at doing that, like a 3-month period of time, taking that off, which would have meant I would have been isolated from all of those people I'm ministering to, which was part of what we were talking about earlier. So, yeah, subdue. It's challenging but very satisfying. Yeah, the isolation, the solitude from no communication, no contact when I go on vacation is difficult. But it's not quite the same there as 40 days. So, okay. What other people do we have that we could go look at that do some times of being alone? Let me just see if I put alone, what I get for... Oh, that was one of the... I knew it. That was the other thing I was thinking about earlier. I was pondering the thought, and I did not look it up. I was pondering the thought as I was thinking about solitude. How many times do people have visions or appearances of angels, and they are the only one? They are alone when those things happen. I know the shepherds. There's a shepherds together, and the angels show up, and we have that one. But when Joseph has a dream, Joseph has a dream. When Mary has a dream, Mary has a dream. When the angel shows up to Zechariah, it's to Zechariah. Okay, so it seems to me the majority of appearances of angels do happen to be, whether in vision or it, if they're really manifesting themselves before a person, seem to be when you have solitude. Now, Samuel hearing the voice of God and Eli not hearing it, and Eli saying, hey, respond, I can still count that one as solitude, I would say. Moses with the burning bush would be solitude. You know what? We could go look up the burning bush, too. We could go look up that one. So Jason, here we go. Jacob was left alone, and he wrestled with him till daybreak. Okay, yeah, so this is one that I was thinking of. Jacob, when he's fleeing from Esau, he has the dream, the vision of the angels descending and ascending on the ladder, and he says, surely this must be the house of God, and he called it Bethel. And then he returns, and then he wrestles with the man who... Is it the man? Is it a man? Is it an angel? It keeps, is it the Lord? Genesis is very vague, and it changes the who it is, and so you have confusion, and I like that. Some want to say, clearly it's this, and I want to say, I like the vagueness of it. I like it that way, where I'm not sure if it's an angel. Is it the angel? Is it an angel? Is it some other manifestation of God? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got Jacob spending time alone on 2 occasions, when he is fleeing from his brother and when he's returning to his brother, or fleeing Laban, if you want to look at it that way. Okay, just looking at anything that says alone. These aren't references to being alone. These are references to can handle it. Oh, that's about, but Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near. We already just looked at Sinai. Ooh, that's an interesting one. After the people are sinning, God tells Moses to leave him alone so that his anger can burn against those, so he might destroy them. That's interesting. So God is requesting to be alone and not have Moses. I think that we've looked at that before. I still think that is a test of Moses, for Moses to step up, and God is testing him to see whether he will defend the people or speak on their behalf, or whether Moses is, sure, God, that sounds good. Start with me. I'm good with being the patriarch. So there would then be the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses would be the way it was. Not the 12 tribes, but the descendants of Moses, which he did not accept. Okay. Duties of the priest, sons alone, appointed leaders, carry me alone. Okay. Trying to think if there are other instances. Those are the ones I could think of withdrawing or being alone. Let me try withdraw. Withdrew. I think it's going to be withdrew. Israel's army withdrew. Nope, that's where we got. Community withdrew from Moses' presence. Saul stopped the Philistines and withdrew. The priests withdrew. Ramah and withdrew to town. We got military actions. What we got? Withdrew and returned to their own land. Withdrew from Jerusalem. Okay, that's not what I'm wanting. Withdrew is giving too much military stuff. Try withdraw. Probably give me the same then. When you withdraw into your cities, oh, I will send a plague. Okay. Withdraw your hand. Withdraw from him. Okay. Yeah, we still got some more of a requesting of God to stop acting. Withdraw your hand. Okay. Thanks for the lurk, ukulele. Okay. Trying to think if there's any other ways to look up solitude, and find more examples in Scripture of people doing that. Oh, okay. This one's not. This is about prayer. We've talked about this before. Doing things in secret, going into your inner room. Your inner room is actually when you take your prayer shawl, you wrap it around like this. That's your inner room. So we've turned that into you need a prayer room inside your house. Your inner room. This is metaphorical. It's not literal. You carry your prayer shawl wherever you are. You wrap yourself in your prayer shawl. You're in your inner room. That's all that is. Not go into a house and hide it. This is in a comparison to those who are boasting and bragging and showing off when they pray. Look at me, how holy I am. I can pray. So, okay. All right. Any other questions or thoughts on solitude? If not, I think that may cover solitude. I don't have anything else. Just the reasons for it. We saw to get rid of the busyness and to find rest. We saw that you withdraw when you are needing time alone because of the depth of sorrow of an event in life that you know, like John's death, Jesus needed to withdraw from people. When you are going to get instructions from God, you are going to seek after God, you go alone. Oh, you know what? Actually, we could go look at the burning bush. We could look at the burning bush. I forgot about that. Or I mentioned it, but we didn't look at it. Let me look at that one. Should we go into solitude when the Spirit calls, or should we try to maybe get an hour or so alone per day? Ooh, good question. So Jesus, I think, let me put it this way. Both, well, that's another one we can look at too, is Jesus being sent into the wilderness. I'm noticing we were talking about earlier whether or not OBS was having problems. Keep seeing my frame here frozen. I don't know if everyone else is seeing that, so I don't know if that's a OBS problem or if that's a my computer problem. The rate still says excellent, so, but I'm seeing a few, looks like lost frames there. Okay. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. So Moses is just in a solitary place because he's doing solitary work. So he's not withdrawing in a solitary place to find God, but now while he is in a solitary place, God encounters him there. So I think there's the both and of it. The unintentional going to a solitary place, but being called into a solitary moment with God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flames and the fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. Let's keep going. Oh, I guess it was already in context. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from the burning bush. So there is an angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flame. So the angel of the Lord first, I just pointing this out because I had mentioned it earlier. Now it says the Lord saw him and the Lord called to him. So is it the Lord or is it an angel? And Moses said, "Here I am." Oh, does that sound like anyone else that's supposed to reply when God calls? Okay. And then we get the whole encounter with him. But I of holy ground and take your sandals off and that. But there's no one else around. We've got the whole conversation going on. Moses was not looking for this encounter. He was invited into it. Okay. Jesus sent by Spirit. When we were looking earlier, Jesus, as a custom, withdrew early in the morning to the solitary place. What I'm not sure of is that a daily or a weekly practice. Okay? It's at least, I think, a weekly practice from the standpoint of, as was his custom, to do that. So when we look at the practice of fasting, and the Pharisees have practices of fasting, they do their fasting on certain days of the week, not necessarily every day of the week. So when it's talking about, as was his custom for Jesus to go to the solitary place to pray, it may not be a daily event. Okay. Let's look at Matthew's. So we've got Jesus who does this as a pattern, a habit, whether that's daily or whether it's weekly or a couple of times a week, to withdraw and be alone. It's a reoccurring pattern of his life, so much so that when Jesus disappears and it's early in the morning, you go, I know where he's at. I know where he went, at least in proximity of the places he would go. Oh, the places he would go. Okay. After baptism, then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. Okay. We don't know what's happening during that 40 days and 40 nights, but we know he is not eating, and he's hungry. So the Spirit is the one that led him into that time of solitude in the wilderness, isolation in the wilderness. There is no one else there as he's in the wilderness. So I think there's a both and of this. Of we should establish patterns in our life and places where we are sitting and in solitude, trying to draw close to the presence of God and listening and waiting. Now, does that mean every time that I spend time alone with God that I hear him in some way? No. But think about this. If you are, well, I'll say it this way. If you have a significant other, do you always have to talk to be refreshed by the time you spend with them? My wife and I both have as a love language time together. So we just sit, hold hands, and not say anything. And we count that as time together without having conversations. We don't always have to talk. So just putting those rhythms in your life, I think, are a beneficial time. Now, some people, well, here's another thing we hadn't talked about. I guess I could add this in there as well. I wasn't thinking about it. Solitude can be in the car. If you have a commute back and forth to work on the daily, you can spend time alone with God. Now, I'm not saying that just because there's no one with you, that it's time alone with God. Just like I was saying before, I go on a bike ride. Not every bike ride is time alone with God. I might have other purposes or other plans when I set out to do that. But on many occasions, I can spend my time and focus on God and on creation as I'm doing it. You could do the same as you're driving back and forth to work. If instead of speeding along, and I don't mean like speeding by going over the speed limit, but just by like being in a rush, being in a hurry, trying to weave in and out of traffic to get there as quickly as possible, your focus then is on the arrival when you get there. If instead of doing that, you relax, enjoy the ride, maybe you have Christian songs on, maybe you don't, maybe you have it silent in the car, maybe you have just some little low background noise, or you intentionally are praying along the way, or you're just repeating a thought. Like you can find times of solitude to be with God on a regular basis. So, okay. Good question, Foex. Does solitude with God include just reading the Bible and praying, or should it be sitting alone in silence without asking God for stuff and just listening? I'll come back to that and just read subdue. Absolutely, giving him space next to you and inviting him into holy space. So, as we're looking at this, Foex, if you weren't here, this is the list of spiritual disciplines that we're looking at, practices for faith. So, there are 7 that are abstaining from things, and then there are 7 that are actively doing some. So, solitude and silence are things that you stop doing something in. Study would be one where you are actively doing something. So that'd be time in the Word. And prayer, you're actively doing something. So you could do all 4 of those things at the same time. You could be in solitude and silence, and you could be praying, and you could be studying. So all 4 of those can be done at the same time. But what I'm saying is, there are times when maybe all you do for solitude is to be alone with God. And you don't need to talk. You are just in a listening place. So I find creation is the best thing for me to totally be alone. But I've also actually had those times where I'm driving in the car, I'm just enjoying my drive back and forth on my way to or from something I'm doing in ministry, and God will talk to me along those times. So, yes, solitude can be done without silence, because you could be talking. It can be done without prayer. It can be done without reading the Word. You can read the Word like we do. We can study the Bible, and we can be with other people. So that's not solitude. And you could read the Word in silence, so you could do those 2 together. So these can overlap in some ways, but I'm intentionally trying to, as we're looking at them, just take the aspects of just the one by itself for its sake alone. So yes, you can do solitude alone, which is often what I'm sitting by my fish pond is. I am just there listening to the waterfall that's going on, enjoying the sounds of creation, or when I'm watching a sunset. Those are probably for me the best total solitude, silence, just listening for God. And even in the solitude, I might have conversations with God. It might be prayer, but it doesn't have to be. It could be solitude and solitude only. Hope that makes sense. If not, Poex, keep on. This is my problem sometimes with Greek. I mix my P's and my F's up because PH is the F in Greek, if you didn't know that. So sorry if I keep mispronouncing that. Johnny Darko, good morning, good morning. And stickers, for those who claim stickers, are in the mail, so they should be on their way. Stickers should be on their way. RC Bubba Nerd in the house. All right, so I asked the question earlier, before there was a lot of people here. Going to go ahead and ask again. On a scale of 1 to 3, I'm just going to change it this way. So your answer in the chat, a 1, if you regularly have some practice of solitude. that it could be a daily, a weekly, a monthly thing where you intentionally have solitude in your life. 2, you've done it before, but you don't really understand it and you've struggled to try to make it work. And 3, this is a new idea to you and you're not sure about it. So 1, 2, or 3. 1, you have it as a practice that you do on some routine. 2, you tried to do it and you struggled. And 3, you've never really even tried to do solitude as a practice. And if anyone else has other thoughts of people that might be practicing solitude in scriptures, we can go look at them still. I ran out of places that I thought would cover that. 1, it's the car between job locations, 30 to 45-minute drive out and back sometimes. Yeah. And Lucy says, no, you haven't tried it. Ooh. And like I said, is sometimes it's just finding the, yeah, not on purpose. Oh, I get that. I get that. Yeah. 2, because you don't listen, I just talk. I need to just listen more. Poex. That is an interesting thing to get. That's one of the things I've always struggled with solitude and silence is the not talking part. And I'm sure that's a shock to everybody that I would struggle with not talking for any length of time. But that's where I find creation for me and or traveling. I don't know why those 2 things. So either being still and looking at creation or traveling. So I can do it in the car. I can do it on my bicycle where I don't have to actively engage my mind on the same level. And I can just, be silent and spending time. Yeah, no way. You are silently being still. It is one of the hardest things. I just got it. This is an interesting thing I wasn't even thinking of. I just got an invite yesterday to the 20th anniversary of seminary graduation. And it really was not until seminary that I ever was intentionally given the task to spend time in silence. And it's just so, it was at that time, it was painful. We're not just talking solitude, just silence. Painful. Like, go sit in the square, and we're going to sit there for a half an hour. What? We're just going to sit for a half an hour and just sit. And then write your thoughts as they're happening. Oh, my goodness. So it's like my body and my brain were screaming at me to talk and to get up and to move and all of that. So it may not be natural. It may not be natural for you. It wasn't for me. But I did get some ability to do that, and now I get some times where I can enjoy it. So, hey, we got an ad break coming in 3 minutes, so I'll just let that happen before we run into the next topic. But Papsdale, hey, are you still here? Because you were talking about fasting. We could just go down the list and go to fasting next. If you want to jump in and talk about fasting. And I continue to be fascinated by fasting and study fasting. I've done longer ones before on fasting, done whole teachings on it. I'm not planning on doing that as we go through this. We can go back and look at those. But I'm just kind of trying to go through. So, hey, Papsty, if you're still here and lurking and want to talk on fasting, let us know. And if you're not, I will probably go to silence because I see the connection between silence and solitude going really well. So the other thing too, when we get done with these 14 that are spiritual practice, it doesn't mean that we're done with them. We can go back and we can revisit them. We can talk about other aspects of them. We can talk about other things not on this list. The whole premise here of Transformation Thursday is to talk about things that will help us in our faith. So, help us in our walk, our way of life. So, I guess there is fellowship, isn't there? There is fellowship. You say a lot of these aren't actions where we do things to one another. Like encouraging isn't on the list here. I think encouraging one another would be one of those things that we should do to help build each other up. Accountability could be one of those things that we could do where we're checking in with one another and helping to build each other up. Yeah, he might be taking kids to school or something like that. Yeah, totally. But when he jumped in to begin with, he was talking about he enjoyed fasting. So I was just thinking, if he's still here, we could shift to that. If he's not, I'll save that for when he's here and able to engage. That's all. But I appreciate that thought that he might be taking the kiddos to school. Oh, I think I showed most of you this, but just in case, I'm just killing time before the ad break here. Just in case you have not seen it, I got a new character, Barnacle Boy, for Christmas, and I decided not to put him in the fish tank because I figured, yeah, that's not going to work well. But as I'm looking, I probably could set him right there in front of the fish tank. Maybe I should set him right there in front of the fish tank. So I'm going to do that. I did get the fish song put with the fish, so let's go check that out. Let me know how it works.
Flat cat past her ox's tweed, streaming life by the reeds. Fish pond calm and glassy clear, view it all right from here. Dapper man with Saxon hand.
Wow, look at the lake there. It's so white that it's snowing and you can't. I'm gonna just pull it up on my cam and check it if I can look a little closer there.
Watch the fish, they swim along.
Yeah, there is so much snow coming in, you cannot even see anything but a blur of white, which is why I aimed the camera so that you can now see the yellow canoe, the orange snow fence, and some green trees.
With his cam, he shows it all.
That sounds good? Awesome.
Fish both big and small. Life in ponds so serene, nature's beauty on a screen. See the ripples, watch the flow.
Well, I was just thinking it's so small to put it in the fish tanks that Barnacle Boy is going to get covered with algae really quick. I mean, SpongeBob is covered with algae already. And, yeah, ads, yep. Barnacle Boy's covered with algae. So, I mean, SpongeBob is, so I figured Barnacle Boy would, and I didn't think he would last long with algae. He'd just be green and... Got some guppies trying to show off this morning, but it's having a hard time focusing on them. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh, that's right. This one doesn't have the zoom.
Refuse Cammy shows it all. Little fish, both big and small. Life in ponds so serene.
Oh, well.
Nature's beauty on a screen.
Back. All right. So there we go. I got something done. I got the right song there. Wow, Wywis is looking good today. So, let me go back here. So, there's Barnacle Boy right there. There's Barnacle Boy. So, you know where Barnacle Boy is at. As I was saying, I felt like he's so small. If I put him in the tank, he would just be coated with algae. I mean, I could put him in another tank where Wywis isn't going to attack him. But SpongeBob is in the tank here, and he's, like, coated in green. So, Wywis having a freak out. I don't know what that was about. Yeah, Wywis totally freaking out. And I'm thinking I might move Squidward, House, and SpongeBob's, flip them around and see if that helps. My daughter said she had a Squidward somewhere, but she told me that a couple of years ago, and I still haven't seen the Squidward. She's like, I've found it. It's got to be somewhere.
Kayla just followed.
Hey, Kayla, thank you for the follow, friend. Thank you for being here. Welcome in. Glad to have you. Ask anything. Ask for prayer at any time. We are today looking at some spiritual disciplines. So I'm usually reading the Bible Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Friday. And Thursdays we're studying things to help us in our walk and faith and practice. So how'd you find us? Love to know and see where people found us. If it's a suggestion of Twitch, is it a tag? Is it you came over because of suggestion of some fine person in the community? You're welcome here, friend. Whether Christian tag, awesome. You're welcome here whether you're Christian or not Christian. You are welcome here whether you believe what I believe or don't believe. I think Jesus said we should treat each other as we want to be treated, and I want to be treated well, so I try to treat everyone else well. I fail at times, and I hope you'll forgive me when I do. So we just got finished talking about solitude, and so here's our list. We've got solitude is one of those things. We already looked at prayer. There's a lot of aspects of prayer, so we'll go back to that. Fasting, denial, sacrifice, secrecy, simplicity, and silence. So those are the 7 things that we cease from doing. They're disciplines of abstaining from doing something. And then we have 7 that are actions of doing something. So study, worship, prayer. We already looked at prayer, fellowship, submission, service, and witnessing. So since Papsio did not jump in and say, hey, yeah, I'm still here, let's look at fasting, I like silence and solitude together. I think of them together in my mind. You can do one without the other, but I like the connection between them. Oh, Lucis shouts everybody out, Kayla. Everybody gets a shout out from Lucis, so it's all good. We like to just, hey, help and encourage and support and all those things. Okay, so let's move on to silence then. We got a couple of passages listed here that we can look at. Be quiet before God, before the Lord and others. Okay. This is a lost but needed discipline, it says. We'll look at these, and then we'll see what others we may find. Yeah, Kayla, you are special and need to be acknowledged. Everyone needs to have acknowledgement, whether you are just a stream, or you are a streamer or a mod, or you are just someone enjoying what others are doing and being in the community. Community members are valuable. Okay, so Psalm 23, which we just looked at yesterday. He leads me, or he makes me to lie down in green pasture. He leads me by quiet waters. So the place where God is bringing provision and restoration is the quiet place. So when you're in the quiet place, are you filling the quietness with noise? This is a funny thing that I've got to witness in many different times, where there are people that cannot stand the silence and will break the silence. So one of those places where it's used or talked about is whoever talks first loses. So if you are in some kind of business endeavor, you're doing a presentation, you're trying to negotiate in some ways, the person who talks first is the one who loses the negotiation usually. Why? Because they can't stand the awkwardness of the silence, so they talk first. By talking first, they give away their position so that the other person can negotiate from their position. So, for instance, I just went through some training on doing my presentation for the outpost that I'm going to be doing, the outpost for digital missionaries. Specifically those who are seeking to be digital missionaries here in the Twitch space and other gaming spaces. And as I get done to the end and I say, here are 3 ways you can help. And one of those is to pray with me. Another one is to connect me with other people who would love this idea and like to know about it. And the third one is you can donate financially. And then I present the financial part, and I say to them, so how much would you feel you would be able to contribute financially to support what I'm doing and partner in ministry with me? And then if I keep talking, I will, oh wait, the deer are running past my house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at the moment. Sorry, I have no cams outside for the winter because it's inside because the pond is all ice. So, and you missed it. So anyway, the way that they said to do this, oh, there goes a straggler, is after you say that, intentionally take a drink of your beverage so that the awkward silence will cause them to fill the silence with an answer. And then they will have to answer the question that they have. You're taking a drink of hot chocolate. Ooh. Did Bambi win? Well, the car stopped. So the car did not run anyone over as they all crossed. So I did not see any spots. It's a little early for spots. Spots will come out in another couple of months. But they all made it. So anyway, that's one of those things. You got your coffee, Kayla? All right, I got my English breakfast today. That's what I'm drinking. I have made a decision in regards to that. I'm going to try and cut my caffeine back. I mean, I drink this, I don't think because of the caffeine. I drink it because I love the taste, and that's what I want to have. So I'm going to look into trying to get decaf versions to cut back on it. But I was just watching a study that talks about the half-life of caffeine and how long it takes in your body before it goes out. And I'm having sleeping issues where I struggle to sleep all the way through the night, and I'm going, maybe that's a thing I could change. So I'm going to look into that. But just an aside there. So the quietness is something that people often feel. Another place I've seen that happen is at funerals. I do not do this as a practice. Maybe you've been to a funeral where they do this, where they ask the question, would anyone like to stand up and speak on behalf of or tell a story of the deceased? And it's dead silent. And there's a person that can't handle the silence who has to get up and talk. And it's usually the most incompetent speaker who has the most guilt that nobody is honoring the person. And so they get up to speak, and it's just awful. And they ramble, and there's no point. And you don't know why they got up other than that's what they were trying to do. Or, you're sitting there and you ask the question. If you're the leader asking the question and nobody answers, let the room get awkward. Let the room get silent until someone answers. Okay? So those are things. Just some little things that I've noticed. So quietness is hard for people. So if you have something to look at, to focus on in quietness, it's so much better. That's why I find waterfalls and sunsets, for me, the best time to enjoy quietness. Now, today, it's really not a full snowstorm. Oh, thunderstorm would be another one, too. Thunderstorms is a great time to just sit and quiet and watch and observe. Snowstorms can be that as well, just sitting with your hot cocoa and looking out the window at the storm. So you can spend those times. So here, it's the quiet water, so it can be, depending upon season, just being quiet in the space where you have something to observe and enjoy. Okay, moving on to another time of quietness, of silence. This is what the sovereign Lord, the Holy One of Israel, says. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. But you would have none of it. I think this one's true. In quietness and trust is your strength. Why do we sometimes keep talking? Now, some of you don't, okay? So we're not talking about you. But sometimes we keep talking because we are not trusting. We're not trusting in the movement of the Spirit. So if I were to, share with you, well, I'll give you a different example of the non-trusting and staying quiet. Okay, this is a funny example. I don't know how many of you remember when the movie The Passion of the Christ came out. So my brother-in-law's church bought out movie theaters to give free tickets away. So I ended up with free tickets to go to the movie. Didn't know I needed to show up 2 hours early to get a seat. I'm just kidding. But the only row left was the front row. So my brother-in-law and I are sitting in the front row, and it's in Aramaic, so I have to read the screen the entire time. There's no English, and the screen is right there, and I'm laying like this the whole time, reading the screen when the Passion of the Christ comes out. When the movie is over, the church, the people from the church, and I'm assuming whoever donated the money and or the church's idea, don't know exactly, they had to walk us through a gospel presentation. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just witnessed the gospel. I just witnessed the love of God, and you couldn't let me meditate on and spend time dealing with the images that I saw of the cruelty that Jesus endured. Instead, you had to fill the silence with your words because you did not trust. You did not trust the Spirit of God to move in me and move me towards Him by the images I saw and the story that was unfolded. And so you, in my opinion, you ruined the work of the Spirit in me by filling it with words that had to be your words said the right way, because the movie apparently hadn't said them the right way because they weren't in English. So you had to do all of that to bring me to it, and you know what? All I wanted to do is get out of there. Before they started speaking, I was willing to sit and just be in the space and allow the emotions and the feelings that I was having to rest on me and to be in that space. And as soon as they started talking, those were all gone. And all I wanted to do was get away from them. So there's a really extreme example of how we ruin silence with our words. So Kayla, oh yeah, there is absolutely no need to speak. I know. Hey, Sunshine, welcome in. Like I said, I was like, well, and if you've seen The Passion of the Christ or not, I think you'll understand this. Like, the people will ask about, what was your opinion of it and different parts. And if you know the story, he is whipped and beaten, and he carries a cross, and he's crucified. I found the crucifixion actually anticlimactic. Okay? I felt the crucifixion part to actually feel like a relief because of the brutality of the beating that he endured with the whipping. Oh my goodness, that was the most horrendous thing I've ever seen. And I wanted to look away, which I normally would do in a movie, but I did not. I did not want to look away. I wanted to feel every emotion of it when it was happening. And then the carrying the cross felt like a continuation of it as he was stumbling and falling. But it's almost like when he gets to the crucifixion, and I'm not really ruining anything if you haven't seen the movie, when he gets to the crucifixion and doing it, it felt like relief, like, oh, finally the end is near. The end is coming. The suffering is not going to last much longer. Yeah, movie is far too brutal for front row. I know. I was in front row, like right there. Oh my God, Uncle Teddy, welcome in. By the way, okay. So those coming in. I should change the title a minute. Where did my mouse disappear to? Okay. We are now talking silence. We were talking solitude, and we've switched over to talking about silence now. So, okay. So those are some cases and some occasions when we do not trust in the strength of the Spirit of God. We do not trust in God's strength, and we need to keep talking about it. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to give you a good, like, how do you apply this daily? So, some of you know, the first week of January, I interviewed with a church who I began talking with, I want to say in October. So in December, they finally said, yes, we're ready to move forward. If you're interested, we'd like to chat with you. I chatted with them in January. I shared with them a bunch of things, new ideas, processes, things that I was suggesting to them, why I was suggesting them over other things, why I thought they'd be helpful. And then 3 weeks ago, they replied back to me and said, we're really trying to take our time, and we're really trying to discern God's leading. So we're going to take a couple more weeks before we make a decision. I got a little impatient when I got back from vacation. I'm like, I need to know. So I sent them a message on Monday or Tuesday. I got a reply back. Yeah, Tuesday. I got a reply back yesterday that said, we have really been trying to move at the pace that God is moving. It's like, oh, man, that's what I said you need to do. Like, I use the pillar of cloud and the pillar of smoke. That's how I work through, so I can't give you a timeline of how long something will take. Is we move through the steps of what God lays before us to do, and when he moves, we follow, and when we finish, we rest, and then we wait for him to lead and move. And it's like, I was telling my wife, she's like, that's exactly what they're doing. I'm like, yeah, but it's making me impatient because I'm on the outside. And I'm rethinking, should I have just kept quiet and waited? Because the reply was, sorry, Tuesday was busy. We met on Monday, and you were on my list to contact. I'm like, ugh. Could I have? But also, I was trying to show I was still interested. So that was the reason I did reach out. Anyway, hopefully they'll be getting back to me this week. They want me to do another interview the end of the month. So this is like way slow. I want to fill it with, I did think about this too. Should I ask questions like, hey, can you give me more information about the process of where things are at? Like, I want to fill the silence with more questions instead of trusting the Spirit. Ooh. See, this is a temptation to fill things with silence. The silence of waiting is super hard. So, yeah, that's the only thing you can trust in. Totally. You can only trust in God, not ourselves. Oh, the Fig Newtons. Fig Newtons. I like figs better than Fig Newtons anymore. Hey, MC Wolfcat. Meep, meep. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you, friend. Okay. Playing test. Yeah, I saw the test. That's funny. Okay, James 1:19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I'm sure you've heard this. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth. Why did God give us 2 ears and a mouth? Because we're supposed to listen more often than we speak. What's really kind of interesting, and this took me a long time to really get into that ability to do it, was like if I showed up in a new setting and I don't know people, I like to stay quiet and listen first, to observe, to make observations, to figure out what's going on. Okay, no cap. Okay. There you go. So the listening more, what's hard though when you meet new people though, is when someone asks you a question that you're really excited about, and then you just, blah, you say all this stuff, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just babbling on, I'm rambling on about this, and then trying to re-engage into the conversation and to listen more, but, yeah. MC. I like silence during conversation. It's very comfy. It gives me a moment to gather your thoughts again. People think I'm weird. You know what? Let me put it this way. I know people who have that, and I know that about you, MC Wolfcat. I know that you like that. I am a verbal thinker, which means I talk through my thoughts as I'm having them. That's how my thoughts work. I work very well as I'm talking out loud. So for instance, I'll give you I'll give you a free sticky note redeem here. Those are my notes from my board meeting last night for Blessed Community. Those are my board meeting notes of things I need to do. Those things happened while verbal processing, talking about my podcast, and then talking about training for the prayer booth, and then talking through what time should I have a commitment for people. Should it be once a month, once every 6 weeks, the first of the month? And then not only the frequency of it, but then as I was verbally processing through it, what if I got 2 different people to volunteer on the same day? So one opens up the prayer booth, another comes during the middle of the day at the busiest time, and they stay to close. So then both people are there. There's less time. So it's like, I'm a verbal processor. That's what I do out loud. Others need the silence to process, and if you are constantly talking, you do not give them the time to process. So very, very good. Thanks for sharing, MC. Sunshine, LOL. I just gone praying for her. You just got done praying for slow to anger. Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was younger, I was quick to anger, super quick. I'm pretty slow to anger right now. I mean, there are some things that will just set me off. Oh, I think I shared this, but I know I shared it, but I don't know if I shared it on stream. So, while I was on vacation, and as you're on vacation, you usually see people with kids on vacation. And kids on vacation are numbskulls just like they are at home. Okay? Just because you're on vacation doesn't mean they're just out to have a good time. So, I don't know the circumstance, but Dad is standing with one kid, and Mom brings another kid over to Dad, and Mom says something and then leaves. Dad turns around and bops the kid on the head. I thought this was like a joking gesture to begin with, and I'm like, what? What is that? And then he starts dropping F-bombs on the kid. Now, mind you, this kid is like 6, 7 years old, and Dad is berating the kid in public, dropping F-bombs on the kid. My anger level went up real quick. But I was still slow to speak. In fact, I did not speak at all because I did not know the person. I did not have the right to speak from that standpoint. I may have only escalated the problem for the kid. I was not going to be there later to help in any circumstance of it. So I refrained from doing that. So, yeah, I can't think of a way that I could have intervened that would have been helpful. All scenarios as I processed through would have been non-beneficial, at least they seem to be, but it was very, very much made me angry hearing someone drop the F-bomb on kid. So, all right, getting caught up on chat. The good hair. There you go. Passing the cookies. Imagine Fabio flip. If my hair's not long enough, I can't do the Fabio flip. Kayla, I'm actually mostly silent during conversations, but I'm sure that has to do with being a mass introvert and having social anxiety. I'm sure that those contribute, but I have always loved silence and just listening versus talking. Yeah, I know people like that, and I'll tell you what. When people who are silent like that have something to speak, I want to make sure that everyone hears what they say, because they have usually spent time thinking about it. We even, like, I'm in board groups where there's a person on the board that is one of those people, and the question is raised in the conversation, and we talk about things, and we know that person is going to go away, and in 2 or 3 days they're going to come back with some insights that none of the rest of us have. Now, we could give them more space in the meeting, but they need even more space to go away and to meditate on, think about, process, and then put their thoughts fully together before they share their thoughts fully. And then they're just brilliant. They're just brilliant. So I appreciate that. Close-up on... I did a close-up with the sticky note there. I snuck one in. So, 60 seconds. Yeah, our righteous anger. Yeah, yeah. It felt that way, but it also felt like it would have drawn more attention to. Well, see, the timer's up. Okay. See, I wasn't even cool. Coolness. I find it interesting how people process the fact of being in a conversation. Used to be uncomfortable in any conversation back in the day because you wasn't practiced in conversation. But your parents always nudged me to get more vocal in conversations, and Twitch and all the communities I'm a part of now help a ton. Yeah. Yeah, just the ongoing slowness of it, observing yourself, observing other people. Yeah, and I also here's another thing, trusting in the silence part there, or being slow to speak. If I'm always the first one to give an answer, I may rob someone else of giving the answer that they know because I give the answer that they would speak. So if I remain silent, letting others go first, I give them opportunities to contribute. So there's so much with silence that we can learn. So, but yeah, learning about yourself and getting opportunities to do that and to grow, and to know the weaknesses of, oh, I know I usually am silent. I do have something I can say. I should speak up is the opposite of mine. So, Johnny, watching parents who aren't doing a good job is very difficult. There are so many of them out there. The worst I have ever seen was when I was a kid. One of my friend's fathers gave him drugs to sell at school. Oh my goodness. I've not seen that one. Yeah. A father's drug use really hurts some very close friends. Oh, yes. Yeah, not yours, but theirs, yes. They're still suffering from it, and it's been 30. Oh, yeah. Like, it does. Yeah, the consequences of that are ongoing. MC Wolf, I'm the same. I like to listen to, though I'm not quite as much as introvert as social anxiety. Yeah, and those are both valid things. I think one of my sons has social anxiety, but sometimes he fills it with awkward stuff that he says. So he takes and tries to fill the awkward silence with awkwardness. But I like stories. So many times I just observe the conversation and enjoy it from that perspective. That's so cool. Do you learn a lot when Do you learn a lot when I decide to stop talking in a stream? Actually, I worry when you aren't speaking. Yeah, I do too. Like, are you here? Are you okay? Is something going on? Thankfully, they're in rehab, but it only helps. Yes. Well, and if you think about this, there are, like, Jacob wrestled with God. Okay, I know this is a different situation, but he wrestled with God, and then his hip is touched, and from then on, he walks with a limp. So there are events in life that will always have an ongoing thing in our life, a consequence of them that will never fully heal. So if you have certain tragedies in your life that happen, you will have an ongoing physical, emotional, spiritual consequence or situation you have to deal with the whole rest of your life. Whoa, chat just fly in there before I read. Poe. When we are being silent, listening to God in a meditation state, are we listening for a sign? Or if so, how do we make sure we aren't? Ooh, good question. Got to be cautious of signs. The devil can give us signs too. Yeah, it's not always that when we're spending time with God that we are expecting to hear either a audible voice or an inaudible voice or anything directly from God or looking for signs. So there are times when God may give us signs. So it's more about being slow and being aware. Like, for instance, how did Jesus know that he was going to go and moved by the Spirit to be alone in the desert? I think his spirit was compelled to do that, and he confirmed that with it. So I think there's a lot of, if you do see a sign, needing confirmation within that sign, knowing with what you are being called to do is within the will of God. The other thing is, this is how I describe it for me. This may not be the same for everyone else. How do I know when the voice of God is talking to me? I usually like to say it this way. It sounds like my voice, but it's telling me something I really probably don't want to do. So when I started my prayer booth and I was sitting there and I was engaged in a process of talking about, and I was arguing with the Holy Spirit, because the person was talking about going to start a prayer ministry in a local prison, and I'm like, yeah, I tried to do that. I interviewed for being a prison chaplain, and you shut the door on me. You didn't let me do that. So, I'm arguing with God in that instance. In the silence in my head, I'm arguing with God around that while the person's speaking, and then the Spirit says, I didn't say you had to go do prayer, start a prayer thing in a prison. You know the artisan market where you've been spending time when your sons were down there selling soap? You could do it there. That was not my idea. That's not something I wanted to do. I didn't know where, when, how to do that anyway. And then when the speaker was done before we went to lunch, the speaker said, so here's the confirmation part that it was, for me, the Spirit speaking to me. Like I said, it sounded like my voice, but it didn't sound like my idea. That's how I describe it. The speaker said, now some of you may have had the Holy Spirit speaking to you during this time and gave you an idea that you're supposed to do. What you need to do during lunch is go make a phone call, send a message to the person that you know that can make this happen, or that you need to check to make sure that you can move forward with this. And I'm like, I know the city manager. I know exactly who I'm supposed to contact. So I text the city manager and I say, hey, I got an idea to run by you. I'd like to stop in next week and talk to you. So I did. And then I said, all right, I don't know if this is supposed to happen or not happen. Run it by the board who runs everything and see if they're open to having this. The board said, we're fine with this. They've also given me concessions of this. Like, for instance, right now, I've got the application in for next year. I'm supposed to put the deposit in and half the rent. They've given me the concession of I can just put the deposit in without half the rent. They've given me the concession that before the day starts, for the month of you're supposed to have the full rent for the year, I can pay it later. They've given me concessions around it that have confirmed that this is not my idea, that this was indeed the Spirit speaking and leading me to go and start the prayer booth. So meditation and time alone with God can be for the sake of meditating and time alone with God in and of itself. It doesn't have to have any other goal. But if if God does speak to you, you are prepared to listen. And if God gives you a sign, you are then ready to evaluate it to see if God is, in fact, the one moving in the sign, or is the sign, as Johnny said, from the evil one trying to lead us astray. Hope that makes sense, Poex. Let me know. Anyone else? Thoughts on that? Kayla, yes, I love observing conversations too. It's just when I want to contribute is when the social anxiety makes it difficult. Oh, yeah. One of my, like I love to talk, but I hate to interrupt. This has to do with, I find it very rude when people interrupt me. I don't want to be interrupted. I don't interrupt other people. So sometimes I have something I want to contribute, and it's really hard because I stay silent and I'm waiting and I'm wanting to say something, and I was like, that's a different anxiety that I have. Subdue. I've heard it called God winks, and they show up after an unexplained moment and can't happenstance, and he clearly makes point. It was himself. Oh yeah, I've heard not God winks, but the same idea there. Johnny, in today's culture, Christians are often led astray because this idea that an open door is God's leading them. The devil opens doors and shows signs as well. Through prayer, living in the Word of the Bible, and consulting fellow God-fearing Christians is the best way to stay on God's path. Yeah, the getting confirmation, the sharing it with other people is a way of affirming those things. MC, totally get that. When I was struggling to become more vocal in conversations, I always questioned whether or not my input was going to be accepted or valued. Yeah, I really like to always value people's input. So especially you'll notice if you're in this community for a while, that if someone shares something hard or difficult, and that has that even in the stream, that social awkwardness, my response usually is, thank you for sharing that. I bet that was hard to share. Thank you for trusting us enough to share that in this community. Just takes the awkwardness out of it, takes the acceptance, and make sure the acceptance of that is clear. I don't do that as much in physical space because you have body language that can relay that message. But sometimes I do. Finding the opening to inject said input can be hard, especially if you were taught from young to not interrupt others. I know, I have that too. I decided one day I'm going to start interrupting people. I'm interrupting you people, and I'm going to be fine with it. No negotiations. We are in our own worst enemies. Bizarre, because, yes. Most of the time, people do value your input, yes. Kayla, and then they move on to another topic, and you lose your chance to contribute. Yeah, the struggle is real. Kayla, haha, you just explained me to a T. I'm getting better at it, but still very difficult. That's awesome that you get past that, yeah. Sunshine, headed out. Thank you for being here, friend. Thank you for being here. And what you do. God bless you. Thank you. Oh, redeem a Bible verse. Absolutely. Yours? You mean I share my favorite Bible verse? Okay. Is that what you mean, Sunshine? Or cause that's not what I usually am looking for there, but that's fine. Okay. Maybe we should just do this fully next week. BRB? All right. Proverbs 5. Okay. So in Proverbs, we're in the middle of a whole teaching here on how to live your life. So you start here with 15. 19 is my favorite verse. But drink water from your own cistern, and running water from your own well. Should your springs be dispersed outside, your streams of water in the wide places. So this is not talking about water. Okay? This is talking about your relationships with other people, your intimacy with other people. Let them be for yourself alone and not for strangers with you. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife you married in your youth. As a loving doe and a graceful deer, may her breast satisfy you at all times. May you be captivated by her love always. So, there it is, 5:19. 18 leads into it. That's why I wanted to go back up. But may you always rejoice in the wife of your youth. Why should you be led astray by others and captivated by others? To put it another way, when you were a young numbskull and not the person who you were, they were the only one willing to spend time with you. Why would you abandon that kind of love and sincerity to go after something that's fleeting and not as deep as what you have? So this is just one of those great reminders of me, for me, to be captivated by the one who I captivated or was captivated by me when I was a young numbskull. So there we go. Oh, you're welcome, Sunshine. You're welcome. So I usually just say 19, and then people get all like, oh, but it really is. It's the whole of that section there, 18 and 19 together. And this is also, you have to do it intentionally. If you don't set out to do this, it's easy to let other things lead you astray and to tempt you astray. It is an intentional thing. The numbskull days. I don't know. I just started reusing that word numbskull because it doesn't feel as offensive as other things, but it, numbskullery back in the day. But I do think that it gets can get banned or modded from Twitch at times. So, all right, where were we at? We were still in. Yeah, I'm glad I'm out of those for the most part, and pray that your children going into that. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's right. We're still doing slow to speak and quick to listen. So, thank you, Sunshine. Have a blessed day, friend. So there we have. Is there anything else with? Where did I have it? Oh, it's here. Listening. We looked up, or silence. Silence and listening. Let me see it. Let me just look up listen or silence of what we get. So those are the passages that it suggested. We looked up a few other ones. Ooh, there we go. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. So yeah, if you're always talking, how can you learn? If you're always talking, how can you learn? Now, I spend a great deal of time on Twitch talking. I also spend a great deal of time listening to podcasts. So I am not only talking, I am constantly listening as well, and observing and learning. And so in order to get learning, you need to be quiet for a while. One other thing, though, that this isn't talking about is sometimes in order to actually confirm the learning that you've had is you need to teach what you have learned to someone else, but that's not what this is talking about. Because you listened to your wife. Okay, so that's not a bad thing. I mean, it is, because it was a bad thing you listened to. So that's not what we're going to jump into. Okay, that's not what we're looking for there in Genesis. That's just a regular use of listening, not. Okay. Probably not more in Genesis. Yeah. We just got more. Okay, so silence is probably more what we need to look for than listen. Okay. Don't know if we'll find silent. We might need to look up silence. God gave us one mouth to speak and two ears to listen. He also gave us lips to keep closed until the right time, and we have open ears and always be listening. Yeah. And if you've been here when we went through blessed practices, listen is the second of those blessed practices. So 1 is begin with prayer. 2 is listen. We listen to other people to see what their needs are, to be able to be with them, to learn about them, to build relationships, to listen for opportunities to serve, and we listen to the Spirit that might be prompting us to do something. So if I learn that my neighbor's snowblower broke, like mine I'm getting a bunch of drop things there. If you guys are seeing it or not, I don't know. I hear that your snowblower broke, I might be inclined to go and serve by helping them or help them fix it. So I'm watching. I just thought of that, of what I learned when you stream is silent. That your chat doesn't read that you are doing. Yeah, they don't read what your stream is. Yes. Hold me, you burned your Hot Pocket. Oh, no. Oh, Oh, so I'm watching. I just had someone share a video with me. Sorry, just thinking about cookies a minute. There's this 83-year-old man who's in the video who gets cookies for his birthday, and they're still warm. They're Spam cookies. Spam cookies. I've never had them. I'm incredibly intrigued by the idea of Spam cookies. They sound so bad that I bet they're good. So that was my first thought, but then the excitement he had, and they looked pretty good. Okay. Yeah, they really don't. Yeah, talk about the other. I jokingly say they are bored and hard-headed. They laugh too. Yes. I definitely would try them. These looked really good. Well, it's like I was thinking, like, people put bacon in cookies nowadays. So if you're gonna put bacon in cookies, yes, Spam cookies. There's a video out there. I'll see if I can find it and share it in the Discord. I'll post it in the Discord. I need to get better at doing that. I post things elsewhere. I need to start posting stuff like that in the Discord. Okay, so we're looking at silent. Did we find anything in silent here? Ooh, be silent before me, you islands. Let the nations renew their strength. Let them come forward and speak. Let me meet together at a place of judgment. Okay, that's a bigger metaphor going on there. That's probably not entirely what we're looking for. Aaron remains silent. Okay. Be silent, Israel, and listen. You have now become the people of your God. Ooh. Be silent and listen. Yeah. Don't come like that. I think the connotation is there. Don't come with your own ideas. Don't come in with preconceived things. Listen, and God will direct. I'm watching. I saw pictures, and most of them look for fire. Most fall under breakfast cookies. Yeah. But Saul kept silent. Okay, this is silence when you shouldn't be. Okay, here's another one. Ooh, this is the opposite. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from another place. Okay, so the opposite of silence. Therefore, I will not keep silent. I will speak. Okay, so we got Job. So we got some times where they're violating silence. Oh, Job laying it down here. If only you would be altogether silent. For you, that would be wisdom. Like his friends are attacking him on a level of, you done messed up, Ron. You did something. Bad things only happen when you do bad. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. And Job's like, when you showed up for 7 days and kept your mouth shut, that was wisdom, my friends. How about we go back to that? And then he has, keep silent, let me speak. Then let come to me what may. So just let me speak, and then we'll see what happens. Shalomi, welcome in, Altus. Good to see you. I like this one. Can anyone bring charges against me? If so, I will be silent and die. Not exactly the topic we're talking about, but I'm just looking up silent for the practice of silence. Not exactly what we're talking about. Okay, probably not going to get more out of Job. Psalms, let's see. Tremble and do not sin. When you are on your bed, search your hearts and be silent. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. So, having to search fire, yes. Tremble and do not sin. When you're on your bed, search your hearts and be silent. So, this is saying on your bed. So when you're at night, searching your hearts, if there is sin, having the sense of, I need to see if there is, and be silent. Just waiting to see. Does God bring to mind something you said or did during the day that you need to tremble and confess? So I struggle with the letting myself be silent at times. That is a struggle, to let myself be silent. I'm getting better. Actually, it was really refreshing and strange for me. While I was on vacation, I spent lots of time laying in bed, not thinking anything. Like just laying there, just conscious that I was laying there and not thinking about, oh, I've got this to do. Oh, I've got a message to do. Oh, I've got to do it. Oh, what are we doing today? Oh, when are we getting up? Oh, when are we... Or, on your brain is running for the next day before you go to bed and you can't shut it down. Like, no, I wasn't searching and seeing if I, needed to correct anything, but that's another good thing to do. To you, Lord, I call. You are my rock. Do not turn a deaf ear to me. For if you remain silent, okay, that's not the direction we're going. We're liking to be silent before God. I love the cookie. Kayla, that is such a good cookie eater. Fifi cookie, okay. That my heart may sing your praise and not be silent. Okay, we have the opposite. Like I said, we keep running into some of these are the opposite. Let me not be put to shame, Lord, for I have cried out to you. But let the wicked be put to shame and be silent. Okay. Oh, here we go. Well, when I kept silent, my bones waste away. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so we've got a lot of these asking God to not be silent. And then when I choose to be silent towards God, this is not silent towards other people. Notice that. The silence here is towards God, not speaking towards God, not speaking about God, about injustice. Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Let me just scroll and see if there's some Proverbs. Okay, Proverbs. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongue. So look at this. Like, I think there's another one that we'll get to, like, better to keep your mouth silent and not prove yourself a fool than to open your mouth and prove yourself a fool. So by not talking, you can seem really wise. I think this gets played out in movies every once in a while, where someone comes in with a question, they keep talking, the other person says nothing, and the person who does all the talking goes away thinking the other person was really wise and discerning and gave them all the answers. All right, so I'm noticing my screen is freezing for me. Is my screen freezing for all of you, or is it just for me? Is the whole stream having problems? It's telling me my bit rate is excellent now at 3,800 when it's normally at 10,000. So I don't know how that's excellent. That seems bad, but a tiny bit. Okay. So even fools are thought wise if they keep silent. So I thought there were more Proverbs. Twitch has been having issues the past couple of days. So, okay. So Twitch is having problems. I know that people have been telling me OBS has been having problems. I was hearing you constantly, but the image freezing sound. Okay. Looks like it. Yeah, I was seeing the image of me freeze, and I was just trying to discern if it's a me problem. It's an OBS. Now maybe it's a Twitch problem. Oh, both, honestly? Okay, so both are having problems. Well, we're about the end of the stream anyway, so that probably is good to jump off. Okay. Ooh, this is a good one. Ecclesiastes. A time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak. They both have a purpose. They both have a purpose. There are times when we should be silent. There are times when we should speak. And silence is one of those things that we need to learn and practice. Altus. Tradition is a fence to the Torah. Ties are a fence to wealth. Vows, a fence to abstinence. A fence to wisdom is silence. Ooh, I did not know that, Altus. That's cool. So yeah, talking about how you are fencing things in so that you live within a right way, a righteous way. So, yeah. I'll tell you what, there are times where I planned on saying something and only later realized how bad it would have been had I actually said it. So, that thought like it would have been something good, thought like it would have been beneficial, and nope. Nope, it would not have been. Okay. Well, there we go. We did silence, and we've done solitude. So let me go write that down. I did have these ordered this way already, so. Come on. There we go. So we've done prayer, intercession specifically, silence, and now solitude. Tomorrow we'll be in Ruth. Perkev Avot is word chapters of the fathers. These were sayings passed down from the sages and prophets orally in Judaism. I highly recommend reading Perkev Avot, whether you are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, etc. Thank you for the biddies. Appreciate you, friend. I will have to look that up. I've not heard that. And it just jumped on me. So here's where we're looking off of this list of 14 spiritual disciplines. If you joined us later, that's what we're doing on Thursdays right now. Thursdays is just where we are spending time looking at how we transform ourselves, transform our faith. So that's Transformed Thursdays is what we've got. Tomorrow's Friday favorites will be in Ruth. Next Friday, I don't have any details figured out, but next Friday is Streamiversary. 3-year Streamiversary. Or I should say affiliate-iversary, not Streamiversary. Streamiversary is in August. Affiliate-iversary is on February 14th. So, you'll see Jesus and Paul quoted quite a bit from Perkev. Okay, so they're quoting from it. Okay, that would make sense. So I'll get some info out, maybe not by tomorrow, but by Monday. I'll let you know what we're doing for Affiliate-iversary on Friday. Also, if you don't know Aki and Peach, you need to go follow Aki. I say Aki and Fam. It used to be Aki and Peach. Aki and Fam. Aki is celebrating, I want to say, 5-year of streaming on Twitch on Monday. And it's you can continue to keep the party rolling. So I don't know what all the deets are on it, the bits, tips, subs, donos, any of that. He is going to stay live as long as certain requirements and things are met and accomplishments and those things. So it sounds like it's going to be fun. So I don't know if we'll be able to go and raid him on Monday. But Aki and Fam. I believe it's just, I don't know if there's underscores in there or not. I'd have to look it up. But I will, like I told him, as soon as he has info for it, I will put that in the Discord. If somebody has his, I'd have to go look it up real quick. Well, I can just do that. Like I said, I never remember if people put underscores in theirs. No, there is no underscores. So it's just straight Aki and fam. Let me just put this. Okay. This should still work even if he's not here. Nope, it didn't. I thought it would still work if not there. I'll do this then. There you go. All right, so you're back. Oh, MC, you're back, and we're gonna find someone to raid out to. We're just talking about Aki and fam is having a streamiversary, or I think it's streamiversary, not affiliateversary, 5 years on Monday, and then it'll be a continuous as long as you can keep them on, and the fam on, and they've got some plans for Mama Peach to take some of the time, the kids to be on part of it. So, but he's like, I'm staying awake, or someone's staying awake the whole time. You just accomplish 2 rare occurrences of pouring out all the M&Ms out of your hand. All 6. Okay. Okay, that's what I was going to do. We're going to find someone to raid. That's what my brain was trying to do. I got the A-team stuck in my head. Ah, we could go over there. Why don't we do that? Haven't been over there in a minute. It looks like doing prayer time, so let me just double check that that's what's going on. I share random moments of joy. Yep. So in prayer, but I think we'll be okay going over and raiding. And then if you have prayer requests, Lazarus does a lot of Fortnite. If you don't know Fortnite, but he's praying right now. So we can come in and share some prayer requests if you have those. You're always welcome to share those in here as well. And I thank you all for being here. Good conversation, talking about things, talking about how do we live better? How do we live our faith out? And as always, let me send you off with a blessing. So may God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. 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 Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you so much. You are a blessing to my day. We'll be doing more things coming up. We'll be doing more channels. I mean, there's my fish channel you can check out. I'll be doing the Outpost soon, helping people be digital missionaries, intentionally being missionaries, and helping train and all of that. That's upcoming stuff. We'll be probably, you know what, that might be what I do. That might be what I do for Affiliateversary, is just talk a lot about ministry stuff and or do some gaming. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll figure it out over the weekend. I'll let you know on Monday.
Flat cap on his head, he's streaming live. Reading from the book, the word's so alive. A prayer in his heart that lifts the soul. In the digital world where spirits roll.